What's up, everybody? It's Bill Nye's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Fanstoys Perceptor, their Tesla 2.0, their second call at a redemption figure, I believe. Third, Slag, Sea Spray, and now Perceptor. I never really minded the original. I know people are kind of 50-50 on it, and I get that, but I never really minded the original. I think I would have been more excited to see a dead end, if you know what I'm saying. But it's not about what we didn't get, it's about what we got. So with that, we're going to take a look at this guy. Shout out to Nick the Toy Guy. He's who I bought it from. He's also who I recommend you buy it from, and his email to contact him is in the description of this video. Especially if you live on the East Coast, he is a tremendous pleasure to do business with. A gentleman's gentleman. Tell him Skully sent you. That being said, we're going to take a look at this guy, but in order to do so, we need to start with accessories. So before we get started, a couple things to get the transformation right out of the box. One we're going to talk about, one we're going to do. We're going to do both. You'll see. Just let it happen. The forearms need to be extended. They have a tendency, as I manipulate it, to collapse back in. Not the biggest deal, just extend it again. And for the stomach piece, if you take this out and you flip this piece down, then you can have this like red thing in the crotch, but then you lose the waist swivel unless you have this thing sitting awkwardly over top. So, like, if you're gonna have him standing straight, I advise to use this because I think it breaks up that plastic a lot. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think it loses a whole lot from just keeping it tucked in. You know what I mean? It's not the biggest deal in the world, and then you can get the full articulation without something wonky kind of sticking out the side of his pelvis, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's my personal preference. And there's a couple things to do on the lower legs. Just flip out the heel spur and take these if you want. This is another one of those situations, but take this piece, spin it around, collapse it back for the clean look. But I'll be honest with you, then you have this tab sticking out, and to me this is just kind of more visually interesting with the tracks out. So I'm keeping it this way. It's up to you, but I think the proper way, and I could be wrong about that, but I think the proper way is to have this whole thing spun around. This is a fiddly piece too, so be mindful of this whole piece here. And we'll start with the large array of heads and faces that he comes with. He comes with 3 IDW full heads, so to speak, with the stoic face, the kind of screaming face, and the happy face. In addition to that, you get 2 additional faces without the targeting lens of a happy face and a more stoic face. You then get 3 more cartoon heads to include a sad face, a talking face, and a stoic face. That's in addition to the kind of happy face he comes with in the opening footage. And then you get 1 G1 toy face for a total of 9 options, which is very nice. Fantastic. Speaking of options, you get another chest option. If you want to swap out the translucent piece for just a solid red, you may certainly do so with the metallic red piece offered here. He comes with his rifle. It has a bipod action that flips down, which is nice. Painted completely with nice sculpt work as well. And he'll hold it just fine with the peg into the wrist or into the palm with typical Masterpiece fashion. In tank mode, the rifle can be plugged into the side here. He also comes with his cannon, the more toy unit there. You can peg this piece in. It does not have the firing mechanism like the XTB. The red is painted with the metallic red, and then the black is also painted. And that too will peg into the palm of his hand in typical Masterpiece fashion. And just like the rifle in tank mode, the missile launcher can be plugged into the side as well. Lastly, you get the microscope option. This bit here does extend the barrel, so to speak. We have the chromed out piece, we have the metallic red and the metallic black. This armature here has 2 ridges on both sides, or 1 ridge on both sides, I should say, for a total of 2. And that will just slide right on and then be held with tension. And let's take a look at the figure, you know, minus the kind of armature there. So the face is painted, and it's painted with like a pearlescent white, which is nice. And it's not what they've been doing recently, but I do like it. The helmet is also painted with the metallic black. That looks good as well. The head is on a hinge swivel. You get up to there. The metallic blue eyes shine through nicely, and you get the swivel. All of that works nicely. No issues whatsoever. We have metallic red paint that looks beautiful. For the reds, the shoulders, you can get these up and out of the way for greater than 90 degrees. With the pads on, you're a little shy of 90 degrees, but I give it to them. And then you get 360 around. You have, a bicep swivel. You have a single hinged elbow that gets you 90 degrees. I'm sorry, 90 degrees. Past 90 degrees is what I meant. And then you have the kind of chromed out bits there. And the arms here are painted, but it's not in the metallic. I'm not sure that's the right look. I'm not sure it's the wrong look either. Like I said, a couple of things that I'm not sure about with this unit. Fingers, hands, wrist, swivel. And then the thumb is on a ball peg that comes out to a secondary hinge. The fingers are all on the same base pin knuckle, and then they each have a secondary knuckle as well. But the fingers are slightly bent, so you have tight writer fingers. Not used to that with Fanstoys, and I don't love to see it. All right, we have silver paint here, and then we have chrome on the chest with the translucent, and then the red paint underneath. All works nicely. Waist swivel, it's in there. It's ratcheted. I love to see it because I wasn't sure that it was there when I was looking at the pictures of it and stuff. But yeah, it's there. And then we have no ab crunch, forward or back. Hip skirts get up and out of the way. The pelvis is painted. Front, side. For ratcheted hips, universals, tensioned out to the side for the full Van Damme. Ratcheted forward and back for the full Monty. You do have to get slightly around that bump, but not a big deal. Thigh swivel around the universal, squeaky little joints, Fanstoys, right? And then we have the sculpt work. We have the gap in the thighs once again, but mine does collapse on this unit as opposed to the X-Transbots one in that regard. This comes down, this comes down, this comes down. We have a double jointed knee, die cast joint, great range of motion. Bravo, Fanstoys, look what you can do. And the nice metallic paint for the lower legs. I got 32 on the QC pass. We have a slight ankle tilt up. No real ankle tilt down, but you do get a toe tilt down so you can cheat it. And a rocker. And then there he is from the back. Clean as a whistle. I have a lot to say about this figure. There's going to be, I think, a lot to say about these Perceptors in the next coming weeks, and obviously we'll do a versus when the time is right, which I don't think is this week. But yeah, nice. Size comparison wise, there he is with some of the movie bots. This isn't where he goes in my collection. I just feel like a lot of people have him with this crew, so I just wanted to show you what it looked like. And to be fair, I might end up putting him in this collection as my collection unfolds, because pieces can be moved around. It's set up that way to allow for that. But as of right now, this is not his kind of current home. And of course, there he is with the X-Transbots. We will certainly be doing a versus of these two. Not this week, but next week, I believe. And I think it's going to be an interesting one because I think there is a fair amount to talk about with each. While I personally do believe there is a winner, broadly speaking, I think when you start isolating some things, it could be anybody's game. So I'm looking forward to doing that. All right, so let's get him transformed. Turn the wrists around 180. On the underside of the forearm, there's a flap, and then spin the hand in, close the flap, collapse. We'll do that on this side too. Spin the hand in, fold it down, collapse. Get these shoulder pads against the shoulders. Bring this piece out. Tuck that up against the chest. Break away the chest piece from the chest. Now, this is also somewhat a gimmick, right? So that you can have the little kind of scientist tray to work on if you want to count that. If you're, you know what I mean, trying to give them extra credit. Then we have to break away these side pieces. Come on, girl. From the torso. Spin the head 180. Bring this flat piece down, and the armature that holds the microscope needs to come up. And I think that's that. All right, so spin the shoulder around, and this needs to accordion inside of the flank here. And then this comes up and the tab on the side of the forearm is gonna plug into there. And I'll clean it up if it needs cleaning. And then on this side, we're gonna do the same thing. Oh shoot, I didn't spin the shoulder. There we go. This one has an extra little flap here. Bring that down to grab a hold of the forearm, and then this tab acts as the connector piece once again. And then the black tabs on the shoulder come back around and grab on to the side here. All right, now we're gonna do a leg. So fold your heel spur in all the way and fold the toe down. Fold this panel down, and actually, because I have the tracks out, you're gonna, if you want the tracks out too, you have to take this, spin it around, I think, fold this back, and then fold this back on top of itself. And then you can actually leave this whole piece here out. Just be mindful, this piece here has a tendency to pop off, and it's a pain in the balls to get back on. So just be mindful of it. Flip this piece out here, and then unlock the thigh here. And then that will allow you to rotate this thigh down. And if we unlock this piece, and I have a hard time getting this, so you want to bend this around on itself and bring this notch here on the thigh, I believe, between, even though this piece is here, you want to go between the lower leg and the upper leg. And then this piece is going to want to spin around. So we'll lock that in, and I'll be honest with you, there's no real connection that feels great there, but there it is. Spin this around. Be mindful of your pieces here. Rotate this up and back. This piece will spin in. This flap will come down. This piece will spin back, plug back in. On your back side here, you want to fold this covering down, and then you also want to bring in your unlocking tab there. Okay, so just a lot of steps, but it's honestly, it's not really that complicated. It's just a lot of steps. So once again, some tight fits here. Bring these two pieces out so that you have wiggle room. And once again, because my tracks are the opposite way, I'm going to spin them around down here at the bottom, fold this piece back onto itself, tab back in, and I'm going to leave this all the way out. I'm going to fold in my heel spur all the way, and I'm going to fold the toe down. I'm going to flip this flap here, and I'm going to flip this flap here, Lord willing. Let's see. Good grief, Omri. And then I'm going to unlock the thigh, and then that will allow me to rotate this thigh in. And as I do so, I'm going to swing it back around and tab into the side here. And hopefully it will stay put, but it may not. And then, let's see, how do I want this? Like, make sure that you rotate at the universal joint and not at the thigh swivel, which is a little tricky once again because of tolerances. We're going to tab this into the back, and then we're going to swing this piece around, and it's just tight. What am I doing wrong here? All right, there we go. Fold this down in, fold this down in, fold this flap back, and underneath, connect that. I'm gonna tighten this up so that it looks like this one, but those are the steps. Then at the back side, flip the wheel down, flip the butt flap back down, and then here you can close all this stuff up. Make sure that you're straight here. Bring your kind of piece down, bring this down, and then that down. That will close all that together, and then slide this piece on. And honestly, you could probably keep this on the whole time, but who's got the time for that? You know what I mean? Just make it easier for yourself. And there you go. And you can extend this if you want and retract it. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. And there it is. And I think it's fine. You know, it's you know, turns into a square sitting on top of an H and then has this, right? This you can manipulate a bit. This you can bring up and down. You can probably straighten these legs out even more. It doesn't really roll, even though it has that back wheel. Looks nice, deco's nice. You know, I don't know really what more there is to say about it. Does a decent enough job, I suppose, at doing it. There it is next to Tiger Tracks. It's fine. Now we're off to tank mode, right? So we have to spin this whole section around. Open up everything you can in order to do so. So bring your tracks, oh, that piece is already flipped. Okay, so spin this. Very tight. To the opposite side, unpeg the thigh, the lower thigh from the upper thigh. This is going to peg back in here, but that's an ornery little connection. This piece comes around and tabs back in as well. And then on this side, you're going to flip this flap, and this we're going back to the treads that I prefer for robot mode. So this is on a double hinge, and be very careful because getting this back on is a pain. There, spin, and collapse. All right, extend this, flip this piece down here, and then this piece using that tab is going to connect back in. So it was locked in at one part, and now you've just extended that part basically, so it has another place to tab in, and then rotate so that the wheels are down again. And then try to get this to stay secure, which I can tell you is not the easiest thing in the world, at least for me. We're going to unlock these tabs here, and we're going to flip our leg around. Make sure these are all folded out. There we go. It swings to the other side. Then we can tab back in. We can unplug the thigh because that's got to go into the lower tab here. And we got to hope that it stays stuck. And then on this side, we're going to flip this flap back. We're going to put our tracks in the right spot by spinning here and then laying them against the leg as well. We're going to untab the heel, release it from this side panel, and extend it so that we can grab this piece, flip that down just to secure the heel into it in the same manner that it was to the inside. And then we're going to flip this so that the wheels are still showing, peg that back together, and we're going to try to work on getting this connection to hold at the thigh. And then we can close these back down, I believe. All right, now we got to get this piece untabbed. I'm using a little screwdriver. You should probably use a spudger if you have one. I just can't find one handy, and you know, I'm often in a rush. Flip this back onto itself, and we have to spin these forearms around is what it comes down to. So let's see here. I'm trying to think of the easiest way. I guess just pull and then we can probably just extend, spin, collapse, and then reassemble. So we have to do it on this side too, but if you remember, this side's a little bit more complicated. So pull, extend, spin, collapse, and then reattach. And make sure all this is lined up nice and neat. And then the only thing left to do is the famous Fanstoys moment of making it all come together, so to speak. So rotate these up and all of this will peg in. We have a peg and a female, male, female here. And just do your best. I'm not gonna fiddle with it on camera. You can get the point. We're gonna do it again. Female, male, male, female. There we go. That's basically it. I'll get it cleaned up, obviously, and then you want to bring this piece down. I got this all cattywampus now. Bring that piece down. See, this is the problem right here. This joint needs to look like this joint. So I'll clean that up. And then rotate, I believe, there. And I mean, that's basically it, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your view of it. But I mean, I'll apply the cannon back to it and we'll take a look at it. There it is. I don't feel like this is really considered in this mode. Like, I don't feel like it works. I'll be honest with you. Like, E for effort, but I think that this is somewhat of a failure. And kind of a pain to get there, but not because the engineering is bad. We'll talk about that a little bit more in final thoughts. I don't see the allure. And it looks like a haphazard attempt to make sure that they had a tank mode, and I'm not sure that it really benefits from having a tank mode. There it is next to Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives, and honestly I have one subjective and then a couple objective. So we'll start with the objective. The objective criticisms are a lot of the joints are really tight, like Fanstoys squeaky tight, and a lot of the clearances and tolerances regarding pegs, slots, tabs, etc. are awfully tight as well, and perhaps made even tighter by the layers of paint, which do look beautiful, but could possibly cause some disruption throughout the engineering. The problem is that both of these things end up working together as a team to make the process a little less enjoyable than it should be. And could this possibly loosen up and free up with time? Absolutely. But I'm not reviewing it in 6 months. I'm reviewing it now. And right now, both of those things working together do cause a bit of a disruption in the process. Add on top of that the wear and tear of scratch paint and so forth from the super tight tabs, possibly because the tabs aren't allotting for the paint. Also, perhaps because you may not have them lined up quite right because the joints to move the pieces with the corresponding tabs are too tight. You see what I'm saying? So they end up working against each other and subsequently against you. And then lastly, my only subjective criticism, I don't like the head sculpt. I don't know if it's the Tesla curse. The Tesla curse is finding a battery to charge it, am I right? Kidding. I don't know if it's the Tesla curse, but there's something that seems off to me about this head sculpt as well. However, I do quite like the IDW head sculpt. After we do the verses, I'll probably create some sort of final version of my Perceptor and we'll take a look at that perhaps during the verses. But there's something that's just a little off to me about it. I can't quite put my finger on why. Plenty of positives though. It is solid as a rock, perhaps a little too solid because some of those joints are a little too tight as we discussed. Sculpt is pretty good. I don't think it's their best, but it's certainly far from their worst. And I also don't think it's that far of a cry from the X-Transbots in terms of sculpt. Build, different story. The accessories are great. I love all the different head options and I'm not used to having that many accessories with the Fanstoys product, so I do appreciate it. The paint, magnificent. I perhaps would have liked the metallic paint on the blue as well, but the red is more than enough to make up for it and absolutely has a stunning finish. Surprise surprisingly, jaw-droppingly, and shockingly, the articulation is at least up to the bare minimum standard. You had to keep that one little red tab plugged in or hidden away, or else he's gonna look like little Mr. Winky Dinky's hanging out. But other than that, we got waist swivel, we got a full elbow bend, we got a full knee bend, we got good shoulder articulation, which should be the standard, but as we know with Fanstoys, it often isn't. But as a result, this figure ends up having a lot more life to it, which is appreciated. And lastly, if the joints moved smoother and the tolerances allotted for the paint, once again, much like the Huffer, I think we have to acknowledge kind of how simple yet intricate this transformation is. The only thing that makes it look like a bear is the fact that not every piece moves and plugs as it should, but the engineering in and of itself is fantastic, not unlike the Huffer. And I think it's time that we really start crediting Fanstoys as being one of the cutting edge companies when it comes to transformation engineering. And hopefully they can keep the elbows going and it'll be a win for all. With that being said, it is definitely a recommend for me. Just be aware of the issues that I have pointed out. And one negative that I forgot to mention, but I should, is that one piece that I harped on a few times that can come undone on the tracks, on the legs. Do everything you can not to let that happen because it is a pain to get it back on. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.